Good morning, welcome to Real Talk this fine Saturday morning. My name is Christine K. I'm your host. Now, let's talk about one of the most emotional subjects and contentious subjects possibly ever to exist, abortion. Now, aside from the question of whether or not abortion is legal, there is also the moral side of it, which you want to look at. When you abort, is it okay to abort? Are there justifications for abortion? Whether the mother is allowed to make that decision based on her health or even psychological or social or even physical reasons. Now, unfortunately, the question of abortion normally comes up due to unwanted or unplanned pregnancies. And of course, in studio today we have a lady that has come to share with us her story, because she has actually undergone through this, and even she has started an organization whereby she talks to young people about crisis pregnancies, and she's gonna tell us. She calls herself the teacher of the hard life.
I come from the school of hard knocks.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was looking for. Yes, so we have Anne-Marie in studio to share with us her story. Thank you so much for coming through today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I just want you to share with us your experience. First of all, I feel like in the mainstream media, it's been, it's only recently, just recently that this issue has become something that people are talking about. People talk about pregnancy, but people don't talk about abortion. Nobody comes out and talks about the experience itself, and then they're able to encourage others not to do it. So I just want you to share with us your experience. When was the first time you actually aborted?
Okay. My name is Martha Ann. I'm 54 years old and a mother.
Yes.
That's the title I love wearing.
Yes.
I have many other hats, but basically as a mother, it transcends all those topics you have. All those hats I wear. Basically, I come from a very sheltered home, very conservative parents, and sex at our time, let's say about how many years ago? 40?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was something never talked about. It's still not talked about. It's just we are very brave to talk about such things. And I'm sure some people who know me will look at me in aghast saying, what am I talking about? But it was never talked about. We knew from Sunday school, going to church, that there's some things that are not done, but nobody actually told you don't do them. So when it came to matters of when you're a teenager, and teenagers, your body is just full of hormones. You're bursting of energy and not, but there's no guideline, no what. You're just told don't, and anyway, whenever you tell a teenager don't, that's exactly what they'll do.
Exactly.
And then there's peer pressure. And when you come from a place of innocence and you don't really have any information, people talk in school and what, and you're hearing and you're wondering, I'm the one left out. So it was actually from peer pressure, from a very protected background with very protective brothers, that I got pregnant. Actually, I left for university in India, and it's the first time in my life that I was alone, and you have the power, nobody to really watch over you.
Yeah. So
you fall in love. You're just about being careless, as any teenager would be careless, Then you discover you're pregnant, and you tell this guy who's, right now I look back with hindsight is 20/20 vision. You look and he's as confused as you are, and that one to me that time it was just a no-no. The thing about India, abortion is legal up to 3 months. It's legal. So it's something that is advertised. It's just like going to get your tooth out. You understand? It's done in hospitals with gynecologists and all. So it was something you'd go and you tell them, and you go pop in and you're out in the afternoon. And what I can tell you is still with no much information, still living a reckless life, it happened again. And that time I was a bit cautious. I think I really wanted the baby, but the guy just told me, no, don't worry.
Yeah.
Let's finish school. We'll have a baby. It happened. Then the third time again. Now this time I think he was dogging on me, and I think I deliberately decided to get pregnant with a foolish notion that, oh no, if you get pregnant, you'll trap him, he'll be yours.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest fallacy a girl can ever go through. Oh, that time is when he ran for the hills, And I think that it was one of the most traumatizing, because I was 6 months pregnant. I'm alone. This guy has moved out of town to another state in India. He's with somebody else. And I think it just dawned on to me, what am I going to, excuse me, what's my future as with a baby? All those confusion, you're alone. And I come from a very strict Christian background. I didn't have so much information apart from what we learned in CRE about who God is. And I was saying, how do I explain this? Sometimes when you do something wrong, you want to hide it. So by the time I went to the doctors, and the lady looked at me, okay, she knew me, I think, because she was my gynecologist. And I just gave her my story, and she told me, okay, fine, we'll go for it. They did the test, they knew I was pregnant, but they didn't know what was going on. So it was, I think I've gone through all the types of abortions you can have, from the saline injection where they inject saline and the whatever, from the evacuate, they opened up the cervix and the baby's pulled and all that. So this time they decided I went into theater, and they were doing what they were doing, and I think I went in distress because somebody just said stop. I couldn't breathe. And then she looks at me and tells them stop, and I'm wheeled back to the ward. And then I'm sent for an ultrasound. To go there, I find that I have twins. And I remember that's when I started really thinking. Then this guy, his friend who was with me, called him. And they came, and in fact he came and asked me, why do you want to kill these babies? And I just, you can't talk, because you're very confused, you're very emotional, it's actually, no decision should be made by anybody. I think legally, if you make any other decision about anything else in such a state of mind, it can be invalidated. So I had, once you've made up your mind you're doing something, you'll do it. And I went through with it, but it was the most horrendous. In fact, I think my brain blocked the others. But this one was what I remember, because I remember it happened, and then you're there left and naked over there by yourself in the theater after it's done. And I was in a lot of pain. And I remember just telling God, if you forgive me, I'll never go through this again. And all. So I was left there the whole night. It happened at night, and the babies were taken and put in actually a sink somewhere, and I don't know what even went. And I looked at them, and it was something that stuck with me all my life. And I remember, I think that is where that God side in you kicks in. But then, foolish girls, as normal, the guy will always come back and give you another story.
Yeah.
And you're back again into the same cycle. And but this one, I think, made me just say no, and we broke up. The interesting thing that his friend, who used to be around me all the time, always comforting me, you go into, they're called what? The rebound relationships. That's where again. So by the time it ended, I think I had been through 6 abortions. Okay, 5 abortions, but 5 babies. You understand? But those are the things you hide at the back of your mind, and you don't want to think about it until you come out of the world looking very bright and very, confident. And when you're alone, it really haunts you. So people really don't know what you're going through, because you have a mask on. And after some time, I said, after all this, I think something, the fear that maybe I'll never have a baby, because I love children. I've always loved children. I've always wanted many children. So I decided with this thing that I'll have another baby. I just decided I'll have another baby, because just even with this guy, he started dogging on me as well. And I decided, no, let me have a child that will be mine, will love me unconditionally. You know, that one of those silly decisions. And that's when I got pregnant and I had my daughter. She's now 27. She's called Dorothy. And that's where even you realize that you have babies and you think that they're dolls. In fact, the doctor used to tell me, no, that baby's not a doll. Actually, I used to deal with her. I used to play around with her like she was a doll and dress her to her and all that. And I did my master's when I was with her, and I came back home. In fact, I was being called back home. That's when my parents knew I was actually pregnant now. They didn't know about the other stories, and they told me, come back home. I told them, if I come back home, I'll not finish what I have to do. Let me finish. So I did my master, did my postgraduate in computer studies, and came back with her when she was 18 months. And but that time I decided it's my life, me and my daughter, and against the whole world. Came in, did some, my mom kept me by her side. We were thinking she fell in love with my baby. And that's another thing that I say, never leave your baby with your mother, because it just gives you, it shucks your responsibility. And I went on with my life.
Right. So, I mean, the first time you actually did it, you were at around what age?
The first time I was about 18. And this happened, the rest happened in a span, because I had my daughter at 27, so a span of 10 years. There was a time when it was, there was actually one, it was a medical issue, because it was an ectopic pregnancy, so they had to do it. But the rest were choices. You know, like doctors, even in Kenya here, they know how to do it. In fact, I think right now I know they're trained to do it. Because actually sometimes medical emergencies that what are they called? Abortion is a medical term. So I really never suffered medically, but psychologically.
You did.
I didn't know, but I know it happened. It happened because it caught up with me. And the guilt of, you know, when you get pregnant, your body prepares to have a baby. And when you don't, and the baby is not there to nurse and all, it calls for another. That's why you find that you're always having another child, you know, replacing a child. And it's a guilt conscious, and it's something. And then once you have the first abortion, it's very easy to have the next one. With anything that is bad, the first time it's difficult. The second time it's
and you know, you've mentioned about you've gone through all those stages, you know, from even doing it legally. It's legal in India at 3 months, but you even did it at 6 months. So then when we, you know, it's a debatable question. You know, people are like, at what point is life conceived? You know, and people will be like, at 3 months, that's okay. That's not yet a human being. But really, is that the case?
Let me tell you, from what I know, and even if you did biology and you see the stages of a fetus, let me tell you, by 14 weeks, the features of a child is there. All features are there. It's just a tiny, small, like a bean. You understand? But it's a human being. If you saw it, you'd see it's not a clot, it's nothing. It's a human being. But also, if you just read, even from the Bible, it says, I knew you before you were in your mother's womb. You were a person. You understand? And that's where we get our consciousness from. You see? So, all these other excuses they make is just to make it legal, to make something happen that is not there. You know, to justify a wrong. You understand? And also it helps the lady doing it that anyway, it's not life. You understand? But I'm telling you, and one day in the courts of heaven, you'll be told that life begins before birth.
All right. So, I mean, it affected you, like you said, psychologically.
Yes.
Of course, there's people who it affects them, you know, medically.
Medically, if you go, if you go to a doctor and it's done well, it won't affect you, really. I mean, okay, things can go wrong, because even in normal births, things go wrong. But people go for backstreet abortions where, I'm telling you, horrendous things happen. You understand? I believe if I was in Kenya here, I don't think I would have survived. And even if I survived, I'd not be able to have my 2 babies, you know, my 2 children, and all that. I'd not behold the way I am today. So I thank God. I usually thank God and tell him, He let it happen to me in a safe environment. But maybe he was looking forward, saying that you will be the one I'll use to teach others about this situation. Yeah.
All right. And then there's also, like we said, there's the legal part of it, there's the moral part of it. And we're talking about situations such as having a pregnancy that could affect the mother's life, or could endanger the mother's life. Just maybe also share with us some of the instances, or actually if you believe that there are instances where abortion it's okay to do it.
Personally, there's no time that abortion is okay. That's taking a life. Life belongs to God. He's the only one who has authority over life. All these others are just justifications and just people trying to make excuses for what is there. Let me give you an example. The other things, abortion is a sin. We have 10 sins that we are told about. The fact that, let me say, let me leave alone sins. Alcoholism. Legalizing it, has it stopped people from drinking? Has it stopped people from going down the drains? That kind of thing. It'll still be done. You understand? It's just what I believe is giving information. When you don't have information, you make wrong choices. So it all comes from, you can't legalize a moral issue. Really, matters of the heart, matters of things that they're called bedroom things. You can't legalize them, however much you want to do that. You understand? So it won't reduce the amount of abortions going on. What I believe will stop abortions happening, the backstreet abortions and the deaths and even the babies and the mothers, is just giving them information and telling them, not abstinence, be pure. Be pure. I mean, I love, if there's something I remember Moyi about, he used to say, you'll never die from not having sex. You understand? Number two, I tell the youth, I tell them that, I always tell my children, even leave alone the youth, I tell them, if I was told what I tell you now, I don't think I would have had you people. I wouldn't have gone through what I went through, and I wouldn't have, because my children know about it. They know what thing. In fact, my daughter knew before, because her father is actually one of the father of one of the babies that I aborted, and her father, I think, in one of his fits of drunkenness, told her something like that, and she's always known it when she was a teenager. So one time when I was telling her, and she told me, Mama, I've always known. I just waited for you to tell me. And just from seeing me talking about it, for her, she makes decisions. She says, Mommy, I love myself and I love my body. And when you love yourself and you love your body, number one, you'll not let the things that happen to us. You understand? You'll not let somebody have power over your conscience like we let our boyfriends have powers. Because sometimes we think that if we do what they tell us, they love us more. The funny thing, they will do the right opposite of it. You understand? So
right. And then of course we're talking about, if you knew, if your parents had talked to you about it, then maybe it would have been different for you, which of course is a conversation. Again, we are saying parents are not having with their children. You just tell your child, don't get pregnant, and that is it. You don't talk about abortion. You don't tell them that this is what you shouldn't do it. And then of course we have somehow we have sex education in school, but I think it's just a topic that's just touched on,
by the way.
By the way, okay, this is
actually it's the most embarrassing topic that is taught in school. The kids are so embarrassed about it. But you can imagine if they don't talk about sex in the normal whatever. It's a taboo to talk about it, the African culture. How would they talk about abortion? If a child is born that was an albino or an abnormal child, they would hide it. So how would they, there's some things that it's an embarrassment to the family. There's a funika, they don't want to talk, just like incest. These things happen. And let me tell you, most of the babies that are being aborted today are actually children of incest. And it's the parents who do it, because either the child will be born, they kill it, or they, it's covering. And I know that most of the girls who have proper abortions are taken by their parents, their mothers, actually. So we can't, I can't stress on it more. However much you say you put legal whatever to it, even if it's legalized and it happens, I'm telling you, the psychology will be having wounded women walking around, and the men walking around will be having wounded wives. You understand? And sometimes that guilty conscience can even stop you from having babies, and there's nothing totally wrong with you. You understand? And unless you go back to God, who you wronged first, and he's the one who opens and closes wombs, you'll really suffer.
You'll suffer. All right, so you talk to young girls about this, which is very important. I want us to come back and have that conversation. You just tell us what you do with young girls and how you talk to them, because again we're saying they need someone to talk to them, and they need someone to tell them that this is the reality, and it shouldn't happen, and even just get rid of all the myths that surround the issue of abortion. Right, guys, we want you to interact with us, of course, on our social media handles. If you have a story, you can share your story with us. If you have any questions, any comments, you can share with them with us as well on our social media handles, that at Y254 channel, at eCircuit. You can also reach me directly at Christine Kai on every social media platform. Let's take a short break, but this conversation continues.